Genesis chapter 1, verse 24 now. Genesis chapter 1, verse 24. God said, let the earth produce living creatures after their kind, livestock, creeping things, and animals of the earth after their kind. And it was so. God made the animals of the earth after their kind, and the livestock after their kind, and everything that creeps on the ground after its kind. God saw that it was good. God said, let's make man in our image, after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds. So this is on the same day of, so we read the sea creatures, the ocean creatures. Now we're reading about the land animals. And now we're going to read about humans. Okay. This is verse 26, right? Verse 26. This is so good. I like this. God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. So now God is saying, let us and our. He's using plurality here.
Because aliens, bro.
The very controversial verse right here. What'd you say, Jeff?
I said, because aliens, bro.
No.
I'm messing around. I'm kidding.
That's what some people will say. There's some people believe in stuff like that. That we come from aliens, UFOs, and they created us humans and just left us down here.
But not God. That's impossible.
My job.
That's because he's giving them a reprobate mind.
Yeah.
Hey, you fulfill scripture, you know that?
Some people think that angels created us. I don't know of one passage of scripture that shows that angels created us. Not one.
Like this one.
Some people think that this is the Hebrew majestic plural. I used to believe that when I first came into this this knowledge, this walk. I looked up majestic plurality in the Hebrew language, where you use the us as a royal us, like a king speaking before the empire. And he says, let us go into battle, you know, or he's saying he will send a message to this nation, but he's like, let us send a message to this nation. But it's really the king sending the message, things like that, like so majestic plural. I used to believe in that. I no longer believe it anymore. I literally believe that Yahuwah here was speaking with the Son. Because you can see here that we already addressed this in the first video. In the beginning, God created. So I think we already addressed that. If you want to look on what we believe about that, watch the first video of Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 and 2. We address who is the creator, God the creator of all things. All right. But the Messiah created all things. The Father created all things. And through his Spirit, he created all things. There's only 3 characters in Scripture that we can identify that created all things. I'll just leave it at that. And it says, let them, so let the humans, let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the sky and over the livestock and over all the earth and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. God created man in his own image. Now you see how it goes back to singular. We went from let us make man to now God created man in his image. It doesn't say God created man in their image. Not that that would be incorrect. That would also be correct. But I think the fact that it flipped back and forth from plural to singular is a perfect clue that there is a distinction, yet a oneness, a literal oneness at the same time of who God is. And I'm not talking about the type of oneness of a husband and a wife becoming one flesh. I'm talking about literally same being, same spirit is doing the creating. So God made man in his image. In God's image, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Okay? It's very interesting. Here goes the singular and even the plural regarding creation. The him would be Adam in Hebrew. Okay? Verse 27, right? If we zoom in on this, let's just get a concordance out right now to have fun. Have a little fun. God created man. H120 is Adam, which could be man or mankind. Okay? Or the literal first man, which his name was Adam. He's an actual person. So this could be the name of someone. This could be the identity of one singular body of people, mankind. And it breaks it down for us the way that it's used right in the same verse. God created man in his own image. In God's image, he created him. Interesting. Male and female, he created them. Some people will take that to debunk my belief about the Father and the Son being one. They would say, oh, just like right here, you know, they're calling male and female singular, him. It's the same thing. But do we see, there's no really example. You can't flip it around. This is what I say. You can't humanize who Yahuwah is. You can't make Yahuwah in the image of man. Man was made in the image of Yahuwah. And what tends to happen is people will take what they see and say that this is what God is like, rather than saying, no, humans were made like Yahuwah, not that Yahuwah is made like humans. Humans are not the substance to the shadow, if for lack of better terms, okay? Humans are the shadow. Yahuwah is the substance. He is what it all points to and looks like. Okay? That's all I'll say about that. Go ahead.
I think the only way we can quote unquote humanize it is only from the first, from Adam and Eve. Not like me and you, because we're obviously completely separate. But at bare minimum, I think Yahuwah does things so we can try to sort of understand. In the same way you have man, like Adam, the being, and out of him came Eve. And when he looked at her, he saw his image, like the image of not like himself, but a human image. Yeah. But that's as close as we can probably get our minds to wrap around, versus Yahuwah creating his own image, Yahusha. So I think that's only, but after that, it's like everybody's been now separate. Like
the reproduction process is different. It's
different now, exactly. So
instead of coming from Adam's rib, which we'll read later, instead of coming from Adam's rib, now humans are coming from the seed between a man and a woman. So there is a difference there. It's almost like getting a copy of a copy of a copy. You know, it gets a little more grayed out the more copies you make.
I think
this is as close as you can get.
Try to understand and comprehend, like, how does that work?
So here's the distinction. Eve came from Adam's rib, and we're going to read about this. I shouldn't be talking about this yet because we're going to go to it anyway. But Eve came from Adam's rib. Yahusha is Yahuwah's word. You know, rib and word I would say, are two different things. Okay, bone marrow and skeleton compared to thought, desire, plans, you know, speech. Okay, I would say that that's definitely the mind. Okay, so when I think of word, I think of the mind, the heart, plans, desires, intention, the will, when it comes to word. But rib, like my wife is saying, it's close. We're still getting close to what we were made in the image of, but it's still, Yahuwah and Yahusha are greater. Their oneness, their unity, it surpasses any unity of mankind. Not that it doesn't include it. It can include that, but it's not limited to that. That's the difference. It is not limited. The oneness between Yahuwah and Yahusha is not limited to the oneness between a human wife and a husband. All right, let's move on. So God created man in his own image, verse 27. In God's image, he created him, male and female, he created them. Verse 28, God blessed them. God said to them, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the sky, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. God said, behold, I have given you every herb yielding seed, which is on the surface of all the earth, and every tree which bears fruit yielding seed. It will be your food. So, first humans were vegetarians. It's not complicated. It's very easy to identify. Anything that had seed, an herb, bearing seed type of plants was food for us.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Going back to verse 28,
okay.
when he gives the command to bear fruit and increase,
mm-hmm.
there wasn't any marriage. I'm assuming because they're spirit, and the concept of marriage is joining your body to one another, or I guess the transgression of sin. But I just think it's interesting how we were able to bear fruit and multiply without the marriage or the absence of marriage. And in Matthew 22:30, Yahusha says, for in the resurrection, they do not marry, nor are they given in marriage, but are as messengers of Elohim in the Shemayim. So I guess my question is marriage, because it's kind of on my mind, but is that because of the transgression of sin, why we have marriage now? Because it wasn't so in the garden, or what is that concept?
For me, that's a hard question, because Genesis chapter 1 is a fast overview of each day. I think we're going to get more specific in chapter 2, where we're going to get more into this day right now that we're talking about, where man was created. I think we're going to zoom in on that day. And I think we will see a marriage concept, which is covenant. Not necessarily that there's like a ceremony and a wedding and all this other stuff. We don't know. The way I like to answer certain questions is, if the scripture doesn't tell me, I don't know it. To me, it's a similar question. The question that you're asking me is similar to me. It's similar to people saying, oh, was Adam and Eve given the law of Moses? The scripture doesn't tell us that. Moses isn't even born yet. It's not saying that the laws and the statutes that was given to Moses wasn't spoken here. We don't know that either. That's an assumption. The answer is, I don't know, because the scripture isn't getting that detailed with us right now. So, but as far as there being a unity between men and women, I think we'll see that clearly in the next chapter, where it breaks it down during this human creation chapter. And I, for the life of me, I don't really understand that passage Yahusha talks about, like they're not given in marriage and all that. That's one of the things he says. I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't understand. It is what it is. I believe it. I receive it. What happens after I die is not in my control. I'm just trying to get to heaven. I'm trying to get to the new heaven and new earth. I'm trying to get to eternal life. That's my goal. What happens after that is Yahuwah's prerogative. And I'm sure that if I get to eternity, I'm going to have peace about what he wants to do. I'm sure I'm not going to be mad and upset and disappointed. I'm sure that he'll get rid of that murmuring and complaining side of me, and that we'll be willing to accept whatever reality he decides to do.
I want to go frolic in the lilies. So
to answer your question, Ezzy, I'm sorry. I don't know the answer to that question. I just don't see the specifics for me to jump to a conclusive answer regarding that question. But maybe in chapter 2, we'll get some clarity on that. Where are we at? Verse 30. To every animal of the earth, and to every bird of the sky, verse 30, and to everything that creeps on the earth in which there is life, I have given every green herb for food, and it was so. So not only were the humans vegetarians, but the animals were vegetarians as well. That's amazing. So that means no animals are killing other animals for food. That's pretty cool. I'm okay with that. I actually like that idea. Okay. Verse Anybody got a comment or a question? Jeff?
Yeah, is that how a lion and a lamb can lay together at the very end because it's the same situation? The lion's not eating the lamb?
No more death.
Makes sense to me, yep.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. Verse 31, the last verse. It says, "So God saw that everything that he made, and behold, it was very good. There was evening, and there was morning, a sixth day." This is the only time where he says it was very good. Every other time he said it was good. I'm just saying. He really, really.
Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong. It's a wolf, not a lion. Sorry.
Let's see. Jeff, go first because you've been mostly quiet. Go ahead. And then
I'm so sorry. It was a wolf and a lamb, not a lion and a lamb. That's a common misconception.
I was gonna say that, but I get the idea. I don't make a big deal of it, but yes, that's more accurate. Thank you. Yep. And Ezzy?
So the controversial verse is always 29 and 30 when it comes to marijuana and certain drugs. So what is the stance on that? Because people will always say, well, 29 says every herb, green plant. People immediately go to that. How do you overcome that?
Because you're not smoking it, man.
Listen, I have me personally. I've studied this subject. I have my experience of being contentious with this subject. I have a history of breaking relationships off over this subject. And this is where I stand today. I'm not a fan of smoking marijuana recreationally. I just don't believe in smoking, inhaling something of fumes and smoke and something that has the ability to affect your mind. Okay? I think if you want shalom, if you want peace, you ought to be getting that from finding what's the problem in your life and trying to come up with a solution to the problem and trusting in Yahuwah and prayer rather than trusting in a substance to give you peace and calm your anxiety. Now, I do not consider cannabis or marijuana to be something evil. I believe in what this passage says. It is seed-bearing herb, and it's created for us, so it has a very good purpose. My wife just bought hemp milk, okay? I don't see nothing wrong with that. I didn't feel high. I didn't feel like crazy or anything like that, okay? But I do see that, marijuana or cannabis can be used for medicinal purposes. I have seen a lot of videos recently in the last couple of years that has pulled on my heartstrings. And I have heard testimonies, of kids with like Asperger's and things like that, where some of these kids, the way that they feel like 24/7 is like their body's on fire. That's why they're smacking themselves and doing things and they can't stay still because they feel either itchy or like they're burning up. And I heard that cannabis can actually help soothe them and help them relax. We're at to some point where there's some kids who have Asperger's that can't even take baths because the water is like burning their body. That's how it feels to them. But with the use of some like oil cannabis on a daily basis, these kids were able to take normal showers and things like that. So I could see it being used for medicinal purposes, but I'm not a fan if people use it because they say they have anxiety. I agree with what Jeff, I remember I came to Jeff and Zakiah about this because they have experience with things like this, is maybe they're using this for right now, but what is needed is healing on what the problem really is. If they can get healing in that issue, they won't need the cannabis anymore. So sometimes it's not even really fruitful to make a big deal of the marijuana if we're not addressing what the problem is. You know what I'm saying? We're only addressing the Band-Aid. And if we go from one Band-Aid to another, we're not really dealing with what the problem is in their life. And I thought that was very wise from Jeff and Zakiah. Milo, go ahead.
My other thing here is it doesn't say that they're smoking it, right? It says this is for meat to eat. So you don't survive off of inhaling things. So they weren't smoking stuff. But then you do have the question now of, you know, hallucinogenic mushrooms, things that you can eat that can get you high. So that still comes into play. But again, I think that's where it goes to the place of altering your mind state where you're not sober minded. So for me, it's like, okay, one, this can't be referencing in my mind smoking, because you don't eat smoke. Point blank. I think that's just plain to me. But when it comes to things that you eat that can alter your state and you're no longer sober, like even drinking alcohol, right? The scriptures has wine, has hard drinks in it. That's not, it's not in the scriptures, it's there. But at what point is a limit to it? There's still the limit. So if I agree with the altering the mind state where you're no longer sober minded and such, that's a limit you don't want to pass.
And here's a fact. We hear of drinking in the scriptures, wine, something that can get you drunk. We hear of that in the scriptures, but you don't hear of people smoking anything. You hear of frankincense and fragrances and burning incense. Yeah, I could definitely see burning incense and having fumes around, but we don't see people taking something, putting it in their mouth and inhaling it. Okay? I just don't see that example in scripture. And some people will argue, oh, consumption could also include smoking because we're taking it in. I've heard that argument. That's one of the arguments people just argue with me about. I've never had a problem with this topic until I came into this faith. In all of my years of Christianity, this was never a question. You ain't smoking and coming up in our church. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna be a Christian, you're gonna be smoking. You know, it's not until recent years now, I think that's changed. The standard is different now. But man, when I came into Torah and everything, I'm like, yo, there's a lot of marijuana smoking people that are claiming to be in the truth. Like, what is up with that? You don't need it.
Genesis 1:29.
Yeah, Genesis 1:29 comes from the herb. The church kept it back from us. I mean, like, you don't, bro, if you got the Ruach, why are you smoking marijuana if you got the Ruach? Why don't you smoke the Ruach?
I hate that phrase.
They look like Rastafarian.
Should be taking in the Ruach, brother, every day. Come on, he's your peace. He's your shalom. You don't need no marijuana. So that's how I feel about it. In my personal opinion, I don't accept marijuana smoking in this assembly. Okay, but if somebody does struggle with it, we're gonna try to help them with that. Okay, but it is something that we definitely, it would definitely be on one of the top. I do associate the smoking of marijuana, make it similar with sorcery and witchcraft because of the fact of how it alters your mind and the way that it does it. You know, that's how I feel about it. Jeremy?
I appreciate that explanation though about addressing the problem to find out what the problem is that's contributing to that, because people are going to be contentious, like you said, with going back and forth. So
Noah, you need to be quiet, please.
One thing that I've kind of recognized, I could be maybe wrong, but people that are in the world or like really pagan, they have a great understanding on their pagan stuff. Like for marijuana, like even the liquor stores out here, they call it spirits. And I think that's something that, coming from Christianity into this truer revelation, I'm realizing sometimes our soft spots we can justify and be like, no, this is cool. Like, no, this is all right. It's not all the way there. But the world knows what it is. And they don't play with it. It's like, no, this is liquor and spirit. So that you are opening yourself up for entities. I don't know the deep fullness of that, but I know enough to know it's definitely spiritual. That's it.
I agree.
I got something to add to that.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, when you drink, you pretty much do away with the upper cortex of your brain, which is your logical decision making, and your lower cortex is what handles your emotions. And so once the logical part of your brain is gone, if a person's really drunk and it overrides that part of your brain, they go to the emotional side, and then they start running on emotion. It's really hard to be thinking soberly when the sober thinking part of your brain has been done away with and you're down to just your emotions. And so we know scientifically speaking that you cannot be sober-minded once your upper cortex, your upper lobe has been bypassed because you're drunk. There's no way to make logical thought. You can't make logical decision. You cannot keep Torah if you're thinking emotionally. You have to be thinking somewhat logically. So if that, because that's why they say people get all emotional on whiskey and stuff like that. It's because their upper cortex has been shot because they're drunk, and it's their lower cortex that's operating. So just scientifically speaking, you can't be sober-minded and think about how to do the right thing if that part of your brain ain't working.
Yeah. So you're basically saying be sober-minded, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's basically the message. I don't even trust certain alcohols out here today. I believe there's a lot of alcohols that are man-made and altered and all types of stuff in laboratories. They put different things in it. I think if you want wine, get something that's organic and natural, that, you know what I mean, that's simply from grapes and it's fermented. Just that simple. Nothing extra fancy and extra stuff going on with it. If you really, so all that whiskey and that liquor and stuff that's made, no, find out where your stuff is from. I'm not a drinker, so I don't deal with this kind of stuff. I don't need to do the research for all these things because I don't really drink. I drink a little bit of wine here and there. I think the only wine I really mostly drinking was Manischewitz. That's about it. But I'm not even starting to like that anymore because I just found out they just overload it with sugar. So that's disgusting. I think it's really disgusting. And I liked it because it was sweet. But now, like, I realized the reason why it's sweet is because they add sugar to it. Like, that's not even necessary. So I don't know what wine to drink now. So I don't drink wine. I don't have wine in my house. So yeah. Anyway. But sobriety is the key. We got to be sober. Okay. Let's end there. Anybody else? Any questions or comments before we end there? All right. Moving on. Chapter 2.